The silence of deep space stretched forever, broken only by the slow hum of an alien patrol ship moving near the borders of human space. The crew of the Vakari scout vessel was young, proud, and curious. They had explored dying stars and crossed radiation fields, but none of them had ever dared to go near the human sectors. Rumors filled every academy and command hall. Stories told of strange human warships that never appeared on scanners, ships that could vanish like ghosts, or worse, appear inside your radar without warning. But curiosity is a dangerous thing, and Captain Rathar of the Vakari was famous for chasing the unknown. That day his ship detected something strange, a signal without an origin, a soft pulse that seemed to come from nowhere. It was weak, steady, and repeated every 10 seconds. The pattern didn't match any known race. Not Vakari, not Terran, not even the silent builders of the old galaxy. It was something different, something that didn't belong. "Scan the source," Rathar ordered, leaning forward in his chair. His second officer, Lyra, hesitated. Her hands hovered over the console. "Sir, the frequency is close to the Terran range," she said quietly. Rathar frowned, his crest feathers twitching. "Humans do not patrol this far out," he said. "Do it." The ship's scanners came alive, beams of invisible energy sweeping across the void. They touched something, a shadow in the dark. A massive object floated there, half buried in a cloud of ion dust. Its surface reflected no light, its shape undefined. For a moment, the sensors screamed with data. Then everything went dead. Lights flickered across the bridge. Monitors went black, and every sound stopped. The hum of the engines vanished, replaced by a deep silence that made every crew member freeze. Lyra gasped as she saw her reflection in the darkened console. Behind it, a shape moving, slow and massive. Then the external cameras came back for a split second. The image that appeared made every alien on board forget to breathe. A ship, enormous beyond measure, drifting quietly. Its surface looked like black stone covered with scars and symbols. It wasn't built. It was grown, alive, pulsing with faint blue veins of light. "That's human," whispered one of the engineers. Rathar's throat tightened. His instincts screamed to flee, but pride chained him to his seat. "No human ship has been recorded this far," he said, though his voice trembled. "Maybe it's abandoned." Lyra shook her head. "Sir, the scanners didn't fail. They were shut down," she said. "Something on that vessel turned them off." Rathar felt a cold fear crawl down his spine. "Run a passive visual scan only," he ordered. No energy output. For a long moment, the alien ship floated in darkness, only starlight illuminating the monstrous silhouette ahead. The human warship did not move, but something in the void felt aware, as if it watched them. Then, without warning, every speaker on the Vakari ship crackled. Static filled the air, then a voice, calm, emotionless, human. "Do not look," it said. The sound was soft, yet every creature on board heard it inside their bones. The crew froze. Rathar's hands shook. "Who is this?" he demanded. His voice echoed in the dead silence. No reply came, only the endless static. A faint light pulsed from the Terran ship's hull. The alien vessel's sensors lit up again, but this time the data didn't make sense. It said the object ahead was both 400 meters and 4 kilometers wide. Both dead and alive, both there and not there. Rathar whispered, "Is this real?" Lyra could only stare. The voice returned again. "You scanned the forbidden," it said. "Now you are seen." Before anyone could react, the power core of the Vakari ship flared red, alarms screamed, and gravity distorted. It felt like the ship was being pulled apart from every angle. Then silence again. All systems shut down. The stars outside twisted into a spiral of light. The crew screamed as everything bent and snapped, but there was no explosion, only a sudden emptiness. When the light returned, the Terran ship was gone. The scanners showed nothing, but the strange pulse signal remained. Repeating softly in the background, Captain Rathar looked at his crew. "Record everything," he whispered. "We need to know what that was." But deep inside, he already knew he had seen a ghost, a living warship from the species that even the bravest called untouchable. In the silence of the void, the forbidden signal continued, repeating endlessly, as if warning every traveler in the galaxy, never scan what belongs to the humans. The Vakari scout ship drifted in darkness, its engine silent, its crew frozen with fear. Captain Rathar sat in his command chair, staring at the black screen that used to show the stars. Every system was dead. The scanners, the lights, the life support, everything gone in a single breath. Lyra's voice broke the heavy silence, soft and trembling. "Sir, I can still hear something," she said. Rethar frowned. "Hear what?" he asked. She swallowed, a whisper inside the static. "It's saying our names." The crew looked at one another, fear crawling across their faces. The only light came from the emergency glow of their suits, dim and flickering. Outside, something huge moved slowly past them, unseen but close. It was as if the void itself had taken shape. Rethar stood, his claws tightening around the rail. "Try to restart auxiliary power," he ordered. His voice cracked. The engineers obeyed, their fingers shaking as they worked the controls. Sparks flickered, a few lights blinked alive, and for a moment hope returned then. Across the ship's main viewport, a faint image appeared. It wasn't from their cameras, not from any feed. It just appeared, as if projected directly into their minds. A face human, male, calm, eyes closed, surrounded by darkness. Lyra gasped. "It's looking at us," she whispered, even though the man's eyes were still shut. The image flickered. The human's eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly blue, and a voice filled the ship again. "We warned you not to look." Every sound on board went silent again. Even their heartbeats felt slow, the air thick and heavy. The human face turned slightly. "You scanned what should never be scanned," it said. "Now your ship is known." The main deck lights flashed bright white. Every console screamed with unreadable data. Lines of human code, words from ancient Terran dialects, messages none of them understood. One officer cried out, "It's inside our systems." Rethar turned. "Cut the link." But the ship didn't obey. The controls moved by themselves, the engines roared to life, and the Vakari vessel began turning, slowly facing the dark void where the Terran warship waited. The crew screamed as a gravitational wave hit them. The readings showed impossible numbers, the pressure rising. Yet there was no sound outside, just emptiness. The stars stretched and blurred, turning into long streaks of white light. Lyra clutched the side of her console. "It's not pulling us. It's dragging space around us," she shouted. Rethar felt his chest tighten. "How can a ship do that?" He whispered. Then for one breath the static cleared. The Terran warship filled the screen, closer than ever. Its hull glowed faintly red, like metal heated by memory itself. There were markings carved into its armor. Names. Thousands of them, all human, all lost. The voice came again, deeper, sadder. "Every name you see, every soul you sense, once lived through war," it said. "This vessel carries them still." The air on the bridge grew colder, condensation formed on their visors. Rethar could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching from beyond. "Why are you showing us this?" he shouted. The voice paused. "So that you remember," it said. The Vakari ship suddenly dropped out of whatever space it had been pulled into. Systems flickered alive again, alarms blared, life support restarted. The crew gasped for air, panting. Some fell to the floor crying. Others prayed. The Terran ship was gone, completely vanished. No signal, no trace, only the same soft pulse that had started it all. Lyra whispered, "It let us go." Rethar sank into his chair, his body shaking. He looked at his hands. They were still trembling. "No one will believe this," he muttered. Lyra looked at him with wide, wet eyes. "Then make them believe," she said, "or the next ship won't come back." Outside, the pulse signal continued, slower now, almost like a heartbeat fading into the stars. The crew didn't speak again, not for hours. Not until they were far away from that cursed sector, and yet, deep in the silence of space, something watched them go, unseen but awake. The Terran warship lingered beyond sight, patient and ancient, waiting for the next fool who dared to scan it. The Vakari ship drifted through the dark like a wounded creature. Every crew member sat in silence, afraid to speak, afraid to breathe too loudly. The memory of that human voice still echoed in their minds. Soft yet powerful, the data they had recorded was corrupted. No numbers, no images, only static and strange whispers repeating the same human words. "Do not look." Captain Rethar stared at the dark window ahead. The stars looked distant now, as if the universe itself had grown afraid of them. He knew they were not alone. He could feel it. That same cold awareness pressing against his mind. It was like being watched by something older than time. Suddenly the navigation officer gasped. "Sir!" "Movement detected," she said. "Behind us." Rethar turned. "Show it," he ordered. The main screen flickered, and for a second, There was nothing. Then from the blackness, the human warship appeared again. It didn't move fast. It didn't attack. It simply drifted closer. Its surface was darker than space, its lines sharp and alien. Though clearly built by human hands, around its hull, faint blue symbols glowed like veins, pulsing in rhythm. The crew could feel the vibration through their own ship. Like a heartbeat from something alive, Lyra whispered. It followed us. Her voice trembled. Rethar didn't answer. He could only stare. No engine signature, no emissions, and yet it's moving, he said quietly. That ship defies every law of physics we know. Then, for the first time, the human warship's lights came alive. Thousands of small blue points lit up across its armor, tracing the shape of ancient Terran emblems. It was as if the vessel was waking from a long, cold sleep. A sound filled the bridge, low and deep, not from speakers, but from the metal itself. The hull of their ship vibrated, matching the frequency coming from the Terran vessel. The crew covered their ears, but the sound wasn't only heard, it was felt. The communications officer screamed, "Something is transmitting directly into our neural bands." Rethar shouted back, "Block it!" But it was too late. Images flashed across their minds. Humans in old uniforms, battles across burning skies, warships breaking apart under fire, planets turning red with flame. Then the images stopped, replaced by a single picture. A human standing on a deck of that same black ship, staring at them through the void. The human's expression was calm, almost sad. The voice returned. "You are seeing what you cannot comprehend." Rethar clenched his fists. "What do you want from us?" he shouted. The voice answered slowly. "Understanding," it said. "You scanned a vessel of memory." "A ship that carries the weight of 1,000 wars," Lyra cried. "We didn't mean harm," the human voice replied. "Intent changes nothing. Curiosity has its cost." The Terran warship began to glow brighter, its form more distinct. Every detail looked impossibly precise. Metal that moved like flesh, weapons that looked like bones. It wasn't just a machine. It was something between life and death. Suddenly, all external sensors started recording energy readings beyond known scale. "Power surge," shouted the engineer. "It's building up some kind of field." Rethar's mind raced. "Shields up!" he barked, but nothing worked. The Vakari ship was powerless again, trapped in the pull of the Terran giant. The alien vessel shook as waves of energy rolled through it, but there was no damage, only light. Strange, soft light that spread across every wall. The human voice echoed one last time. "You are not the first to see us, but you will remember. And you will warn." The Terran warship moved past them, silent and graceful. The moment it crossed their field of view, every system came back online. Lights, oxygen, gravity, all restored in one instant. It was as if the human ship had simply reset the laws of reality around it. Rethar fell to his knees, breathing heavily. His mind was full of visions he couldn't explain. "We have to go," he said finally, "before it decides we're not worth sparing." As the Vakari ship turned away, its scanners caught one last glimpse. The human vessel was vanishing, its form dissolving into particles of light until it disappeared completely. Only the echo of its heartbeat remained. Deep and steady, fading into the void, Rethar whispered to himself. It was alive, and for the first time, he understood why no one dared scan a human warship. The Vakari ship floated in silence again, light years away from the last coordinates where they had seen the human vessel. Yet the fear still clung to every crew member. Like a shadow that refused to leave, Captain Rethar hadn't spoken in hours. He sat staring at the empty space ahead, his eyes dull, his mind filled with that calm human voice repeating inside his head. "You will remember, the ship's systems were finally stable, energy levels normal, communication restored, and yet the entire crew felt something was still watching them." Lyra walked slowly to the captain's side. "Sir, the main console is receiving a transmission," she said quietly. Rethar turned. "From where?" he asked. She hesitated. "Everywhere." The screen flashed white. Then came a sound, soft, rhythmic like breathing. The static cleared, and there it was again. The same human face. Eyes bright, calm, and ageless. "This is not a threat," the voice said, echoing through the deck. "This is a remembrance." No one moved. No one dared interrupt. The human continued. "Your people have wandered close to the border of silence, a place where Terran memory rests. You have touched a ship that was never meant to be found." Lyra swallowed hard. "What are you?" she whispered. The human's expression didn't change. "We are what remains of the fleets that fought the last war," he said. "Each ship carries its fallen, their thoughts, their pain, their loyalty." Rethar found his courage. "Why attack us then? Why shut us down?" he demanded. The human shook his head slowly. "You were not attacked," he said. "You were warned." Images filled the screen. Thousands of human warships moving across starfields, planets burning behind them. Fleets of alien races turning to ash under their guns. The voice spoke over the visions. "When humanity fought its final war, we built ships that could think, ships that could remember. They did not die when we did. They waited." The crew trembled, watching as one Terran ship after another faded into the void. Leaving only their echoes behind, the voice continued. "We taught them one law. Do not reveal yourselves." "Unless someone dares to look," Rethar whispered. "And we looked." The human nodded slowly. "You scanned what you could not understand," he said. "You woke one of us. And now your people must decide whether to forget or to fear." The screen flickered again, and a flood of data streamed into their computers. Unreadable files, human texts, coordinates, star maps marked with red circles. "These are memories," the human said. "Fragments of what we were. Warnings of what we can be again." Lyra tried to stop the transfer, but her controls didn't respond. The data was embedding itself deep into their ship's core. Impossible to erase. "Why give us this?" she cried. The human looked straight at her. "Because memory is a weapon, and ignorance is a curse." For a moment, the image zoomed out, revealing not just one Terran ship, but hundreds, drifting silently in formation. Hidden in dark space, their hulls glowed faintly, their names shining in pale blue light. "The graveyard of ghosts," Rethar whispered. The human nodded once more. "We are the watchmen," he said. "We guard the silence, and the silence guards the galaxy." The voice softened. "Leave this place, Vakari. Carry our message," he said. "Tell your kind that human warships are not scanned. They are remembered." Then, as the last word faded, the screen turned black. The transmission ended, leaving only the hum of their own engines. Rethar sat still, his hands shaking. "Plot a course home," he said finally. "And no one will speak of this again." Lyra hesitated. "Sir, what if they don't believe us?" she asked. Rethar's eyes glowed faintly in the reflection of the dead screen. "They will," he said, "when they hear the message in their dreams." As the ship began its jump sequence, the crew could still hear faint whispers echoing through the comms. It wasn't static anymore. It was voices, countless voices, human and calm, whispering a single word again and again. "Remember." The Vakari ship limped home through the cold sea of stars. Its engines burned weakly, its hull cracked and scorched, and yet it moved with strange determination. Every crew member was silent, their faces pale, their eyes hollow, as if something inside them had been left behind in that dark corner of space. Captain Rethar sat in his chair, staring at the endless black outside. The stars flickered faintly, but none of them felt like they belonged anymore. The memory of the human voice still lingered, haunting, echoing softly inside his thoughts. "You will remember, no one spoke of the transmission, not even when the Central Fleet Command demanded a report." Rethar sent a short message, a single line written with trembling hands. "Sector 19C is forbidden. No scans, no entry. Nothing more, nothing less." Days passed, but the feeling never left. Lyra couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the Terran warship again, drifting quietly, its blue veins pulsing like a heartbeat in the dark. Sometimes she heard whispers calling her name. Sometimes the sound of 1,000 heartbeats merging into one. When the Vakari ship finally docked at the nearest outpost, the medics were shocked. Their systems had aged 10 years in a single voyage. Though the journey had lasted only 6 days, the clocks aboard the ship didn't match any known timeline. The crew's neural scan showed traces of unknown energy. Not harmful, but ancient, something beyond science. Fleet Command tried to erase the incident. They sealed the report under classified archives and ordered Rethar and his crew to remain silent. Yet silence spread faster than truth. Within weeks, stories began to leak. Other patrols whispered about the Vakari ghost ship, about how it came back from human space changed, about how the captain refused to sleep. One rumor said Rethar's eyes glowed faintly blue in the dark. Another said the ship's AI refused to shut down, repeating strange coordinates every night. The coordinates pointed to the same region, the place where the Terran warship had awakened. Months later, a small scout team from another race ignored the warnings. They too went missing. No distress call, no trace. Nothing returned. After that, every empire quietly redrew their borders, marking the human frontier with a single word: unreachable. Across the galaxy, the legend grew. No one dared to scan a human warship again, not because of fear of battle, but because of what they had heard. That scanning one meant being seen by it, meant being remembered by something that did not forget. On a quiet night, Captain Rethar sat alone in his quarters, staring at the stars through the observation window. The hum of the engines felt familiar now, almost comforting. He reached for his console and found an old recording, one he hadn't meant to play. The human voice came through again, clear and calm. "Do not fear the silence, Captain. It listens." Rethar froze. His console was not connected to any external feed. The message was not in his system. The voice continued, softer now. "You have done as we asked. You remembered, outside the station." Far beyond visible range, a shadow moved among the stars. A massive shape, silent and unseen. Its surface shimmered with faint blue veins. The Terran warship lingered once more at the edge of known space, watching, waiting, guarding, back in his cabin. Rethar whispered to himself, "They're still out there." His voice shook, but there was a strange peace in it. And they're watching over everything. In the darkness, the stars blinked once, as if answering him, and for a moment, he thought he saw a faint human silhouette in the reflection of the glass, smiling before fading away. The silence of space returned, soft, endless, unbroken, and somewhere in that silence, a single human word echoed across the void again and again, carried by unseen frequencies through the galaxies. "Remember."